Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Grounded, get real life topics from Build Respect. My name is Brian Boyd. Today's topic is change, and everyone, as always, I pray you had an amazing weekend. Before we jump into this episode and kick off year 2 of Grounded, please be sure to like and follow the Grounded podcast, whatever platform you have to be listening on. And with that being said, y'all, let's talk about change. And to be honest with y'all, this is a topic that has come up in the midst of my personal study because the Lord has had me go through the book of Job right now. And while I did go through there initially to learn more about friendship and communication and empathy and all of those other amazing things, one thing that came across my mind is the concept of life itself. And that's something that the Lord showed me. And coincidentally, uncoincidentally enough, about almost a year or so to the day, I did the second episode of Grounded on the topic titled The Struggle is Real. And in that particular episode, I also covered the summary of the book of Job and explain how even in the midst of our world, while we may have prosperous things, we may have food, clothes, shelters, things that we may want, cars, money, houses, all of those things, struggles can come at any time. But it's because we understand that those struggles can come, and because we know that these challenges are just another part of life, it will keep us firm in our faith and it will keep us moving forward instead of walking away from the God that we serve. And that's something that I've seen in this world today as a whole, because, you talk about prosperity gospel, that's typically something that's kind of left out of the equation, that we do and we will have struggles here on this earth. And that's not to sound pessimistic, but it's to understand the fact that challenges is always around us. But how do we deal with these challenges? How do we change with the times? How do we adapt to the circumstances that we're under? And that's the thing that we're going to talk about tonight. And to do so, we're going to be coming from Job chapter 14, verse 14. And if you've been in church for any extent of time, and if you've been around or at least heard a sermon or two, I'm sure you've heard this verse. And Job 14:14 reads that if a man die, shall he live again? All in the days of my appointed time will I wait until my change comes. And everyone, just a quick backstory on Job himself. This is a book covering a man who loved God, feared God, and followed him. And at the very beginning, because of that relationship that Job had with God, he was blessed abundantly. The Bible says he had a very great house. He had oxen, he had sheep, he had servants, he had a wife, he had children. He had pretty much everything that would make you happy and abundant here on this earth. But in the midst of this, the devil comes to God, and him and the Lord have a conversation about Job. And the devil says that basically Job only fears you and Job only respects you because you have given him all of these things. So in the midst of this story, God allows the devil makes a bet with the devil. It basically allows him to take everything from Job with the exception of his life. And Job, at this point in time, he has lost everything that I've mentioned before. He's lost the house, lost the family, he's lost the servants. And the only thing that he has now is basically just himself, because the devil even took away his health. And that's something that came up. And in the midst of this, Job is actually contemplating life. He's talking about, the validity of life, and in this situation about the change that comes. And the first thing I want to talk about here is the first part of this verse, that if a man dies, shall he live again? And in this particular part of the verse, Job is asking a rhetorical question, that can a man live again once he has passed on? And this is a reference simply to our physical existence here on this earth. And we've all heard so many times that you only live once, you only have one life, you don't know when your time is. And it's because of these things, and because we have an understanding of these things, that we should live full and healthy lives. And what's so interesting here is that Job is also, in a subliminal sense, referring to the spiritual aspect of life, because, as a part of our faith, the promise that we have through Christ is the gift of eternal life, meaning that we live our lives here on this earth. And once we leave or we close our eyes here, we pass on into eternity to live with God forever. And the thing here that he talks about is basically, our physical time here on this earth, the things that we do or the things that we don't do. There's only a set number of time that we can actually do the stuff that we do right here on this earth. And that pretty much goes into what he was saying back in verse 12, because Job 14:12 says, and so a man lies down and rise not till the heavens be no more. They shall not be awake nor raised out of their sleep. And basically right here, he's talking about, once again, just how we only have one chance here in life. And this is important to understand, because once again, we only have one life to live and we only have one chance to do this. And when you talk about change, you talk about struggle, these are things that we have to overcome on some ways almost a daily basis in order to get to where we're supposed to be, in order to do the things that we were purposed here to do on this earth. And as you always hear me say on this show, I truly believe that everyone has a purpose, everyone has a calling, everyone has a reason for being here on this earth. No one is here by chance. And just understanding that and realizing that, we have to also understand once again that things come in our lives, struggles and all come not to challenge us or to hinder us, but for us to learn and grow from them and overcome them so that we can get to the destiny that we're supposed to go to. And the second part of this verse reads that all the days of my appointed time that I will wait. And to break this up real quick, the word appointed here is translated to the word warfare, and wait is referred to the word of go. And once again, Job is talking about our time here on this earth. And he's saying that although we go through things and life is essentially a war, he will continue to push through no matter what happens. And this is something that, when you look at the concept of time and change and struggle, this is something that is always apparent, because he even concepts and he relates to the word of life and the concept of life to it just being warfare. Because once again, when you look at the struggle, you look at life itself, life is nothing but a list of challenges. There are things that are there and put in place for us to overcome. And even when you look at it from a small scale, we struggle even on a day-to-day basis with us waking up and going to work or running our businesses just to take care of our basic needs. While that may not be like a major thing for a lot of people, that is a daily challenge or a daily struggle that we live in, especially if that's something that we truly don't want to do, but we have to do those things anyway. And just to talk about life itself, everything here is something that we have to be cognizant of. It's something that we have to realize. And one of the things that I've learned, and the only way to overcome warfare and the only way to, conquer the struggles that we have in life is through planning and execution, of course, because when you look at the whole concept of our things, yes, things may happen unexpectedly, but when those things happen to us, we have to figure a way out on how to overcome those things. We can't simply, go through the struggle, understand that it happened to us and then we just sit in it. But no, we have to get up, we have to think, we have to plan, and then we have to execute that plan to get out. And, I don't talk about employment often, but, for instance, let's say that you woke up one morning and you were no longer employed at the place that you were. At that point, that's not a time to panic, but that's a time for you to figure out what you're going to do next. How are you going to take care of your home? How are you going to take care of your bills? How are you still going to continue to provide for yourself and for the people that you may be taking care of? This isn't the time to worry. This isn't the time to give up, but this is the time to push harder than you've pushed before to make things happen and to make ends meet. And when you talk about change and you talk about life, this is important to understand, because in life, you have to be able to do these things. You have to be able to conquer these things, because these are small things that will come to you from time to time, and you have to be able to overcome them. And last but not least, moving forward, just a little tangent, but stay with me, y'all. The last piece of this is till my change comes. And when you look at this particular point and you kind of go back to what I've been saying for the previous thing, the word change here is actually referred to as the word course. And Job is basically saying, and to sum this up, that he will use the one life that he has. He will fight through the struggles that is coming to him, and he will endure those things until the very end. And that's typically what this verse is saying. It's not necessarily talking about a certain time that we have here on this earth, but he's talking about once that time is over, once he has fought the war of life, once he has overcome the struggles that were in his way, once he has done the things that he was supposed to do here on this earth, his course will end here on this earth, and he will change into eternity. He will go to a place where these things no longer exist. He will go to a place where there's no more crying, there's no more struggle, there's no more hardship. He will go to a place of peace. And for us, in life, that's pretty much, in my opinion, the ultimate goal for each and every person, to live full lives, to do the things that they know they're supposed to do, to overcome struggles that may arise as they're going on that journey, to overcome, to keep pushing and to keep going forth into the things that they're supposed to do. And that, in my personal opinion, is the way that we're supposed to live life. That's the thing that we're supposed to do with the one life that we have here on this earth. We're supposed to live it out to the fullest. God didn't create us to sit here and live and settle for lives that were not meant for us. We weren't supposed to be here, forced to live our day-to-day lives, doing things that we don't want to do, going places we don't want to go, having experiences that we don't want to experience. We're supposed to have full and abundant lives. And Paul actually mentions that in the verse where it says that, dearly beloved, above all things, I wish you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. And that just talks about the will of God. He wants us to not only be, healthy in the spiritual sense, but in the physical and the mental sense as well. He wants us to have full lives. And the only way to do that is by going through and, once again, living the fullest life that you can, doing the things that you're supposed to do, no matter how difficult those things may be. As long as you go through that path and as long as you move forward, you'll have that full life. You will be fulfilled. You will be impacted. You will be empowered to continue doing those things and making the impact not only for yourself, but for the people around you. And when I think about this, I think about 2 Timothy 4, verses 6-8, because Paul says the very same thing in reference to Job, almost coincidentally. And it reads here that, for I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought the good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give to me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all that also that love his appearing. And to sum this up, Paul is basically saying the same thing that Job has done. Paul, if you read the Bible, you'll understand that Paul has not had the best life serving God. He has preached the word, but in the midst of him preaching and spreading the gospel and walking boldly throughout the world and preaching unto the Gentiles, Paul went through a lot. He got beat, he got battered, he got imprisoned, he got a number of things that happened to him. But in the midst of all of these things, Paul lived the life that he knew that he was supposed to. And while we all may not come even close to the amount of struggle that Paul endured, this still serves as a testament that even though he went through all of these things, he lived the life that he knew that he was supposed to do. And because of this, he could die and embrace the coming of death, knowing that he did any and everything that he was supposed to do. And it says once again in verse 6 that he is ready to be offered because his time of departure is at hand. He is not cowering away from death, but he is embracing the fact that death is coming because he realized that, he has accomplished everything that he does on this earth, and the struggles that he had to endure are now coming to an end. The war that he fought here on this earth is over. And because he has done those things, and because he has fought the war and dealt with the struggles of everyday life, he can now rest in peace. He can rest in eternity with God and receive the crown of righteousness, which is given to those who have failed and have lived according to the work that God has given them. And, to sum this up with us and to sum this up with struggle, if I could, bring episode summary for this, I would say that when it comes to change, when it comes to struggle, this is something that, once again, not to sound pessimistic, that we're going to endure every day. These are things that we're going to go through. But the only way to overcome this truly is to plan, to be able to execute, and to be able to rely on the God that we serve. And that's the way that we get there. That's the way that we live these full and abundant lives, everyone. That's through following the God that we serve. Yes, there are going to be great times. Yes, there are going to be some bad times, but the promise that God gives is, once again, Romans 8:28, that all things will work together for your good. The good and the bad is going to come together and work out for you. And all you have to do is to go on that journey and follow the God that we serve. That is the whole promise of our faith, that our works will be rewarded and God will continue to help us as we go on this journey of life. So with that being said, y'all, that's pretty much it. I hope you all got something out of this episode, man. Like I said, the concept of change and struggle it's an interesting thing, and it's something that, I talk about often, because while I do want us all to have amazing lives, one of the concepts of that is understanding that there are going to be times when we go through things. Everything isn't going to always be good, but it's knowing those things and knowing that these things may happen, and knowing that there may be some bumps in the road will allow us to go over those bumps, endure the things that come, and to keep pushing ever so more to the goal that we're trying to get to. But With that being said, y'all, I'm about to get out of here. I'm talking too much. I hope y'all got something out of this video. If you did, please be sure to like and share this episode across social media and all platforms that you may be listening on. And I will talk to you all next week. All right. My name is Brian Boyd. I'm signing off. Peace.